President Biden has held his most extensive talks with the Chinese leader Xi Jinping since coming to the White House in a video conference call that lasted more than 3 hours. President Xi told Mr. Biden that China would have to take decisive measures if pro-Taiwanese independence forces crossed what he described as a red line. The U.S. warned against unilateral moves to change the status of Taiwan. Mr. Biden also raised concerns over human rights abuses.
As I've said before, it seems to me our responsibility as leaders of China and the United States is to ensure that the competition between our countries does not veer into conflict, whether intended or unintended. Just simple, straightforward competition. And it seems to me we need to establish some common sense guardrails to be clear and honest where we disagree and work together where interests intersect, especially on vital global issues like climate change. None of this is a favor to either of our countries, what we do for one another, but it's just responsible world leadership, and you're a major world leader, and so is the United States. How our bilateral relationship evolves seems to me will have a profound impact not only on our countries, but quite frankly, the rest of the world. We have a responsibility to the world as well as to our people. It's why we believe, and you and I have talked about this, all countries have to play by the same rules of the road, why the United States is always going to stand up for our interests and values and those of our allies and partners. If past is prologue, I am sure that today we'll be discussing those areas where we have concerns, from human rights to economics to ensuring a free and open Indo-Pacific. And I think it's very important, as I've told other world leaders when they ask about our relationship, is that we have always communicated with one another very honestly and candidly, and we never walk away wondering what the other man is thinking. And I think that's an important ingredient for this relationship, to be open and candid in terms of our relationship. And I think it's important we communicate honestly and directly to one another about our priorities and our intentions. I look forward to getting down to business and on the extensive and substantive agenda we have ahead of us. And I thank you very much. And thank you for your congratulatory call when I won the election. It was very gracious of you.
中美发展都处在关键阶段。
The current development of China and the US is at a critical stage, and the global village of mankind is also facing many challenges. As the world's two biggest economies and permanent members of the UN Security Council, China and the US should strengthen communication and cooperation. We should not only take care of our own domestic affairs, but also assume our due international responsibilities to jointly promote the noble cause of peace and development of mankind. This is the common vision of the peoples of China and the US, as well as other countries in the world. And it is also the common mission of the leaders of China and the US, promoting the development of China and the United States, maintaining a peaceful and stable international environment, and responding to global challenges, including climate change and the COVID-19 pandemic, require a healthy and stable relationship. China and the US should respect each other, coexist in peace, and achieve win-win cooperation. I would like to work with Mr. President to form a consensus and take active actions to lead the positive development of China-US relations. This is what we need to benefit the two peoples and the expectation of the international community.
这是造福两国人民的需要。
And for more on this virtual summit, let's bring in Arise U.S. Correspondent Rotimi KADE. Rotimi, I want to say thank you for joining us here on Newsday. Now, what for you were the main takeaways from this Biden-Xi Jinping's virtual summit?
First of all, the virtual conference between the two leaders and the senior aides lasted for virtually over 3 hours, and this was the first of their formal meeting since Biden actually took office in January. And President Xi has never traveled out of China since the start of the pandemic, which of course calls for the virtual conference. The camaraderie was actually different following the heated exchange between, the two sides earlier this year. The aides of both presidents actually had some very heated exchanges as far as the political terrain concerning Taiwan, concerning North Korea, and the Indo-Pacific geopolitics. And particularly, I think they had a friend talk on Taiwan. There's been tensions in Taiwan, and China has perhaps increased their military presence in the number of the territory of Taiwan and the South Rhode Island, which Beijing actually considers as part of its territory. On the other hand, President Biden actually emphasized and reiterated that U.S. will abide by the long-standing U.S. One China policy, which actually recognizes Beijing, but also allows relations and defense ties with Taipei. But the meeting actually produced no concrete deliverables on any of the many issues that bedevil the U.S.-China relationship, but allow more both leaders to actually underscore their strengths and weaknesses, and of course their resolve to actually prevent any unexpected military conflict in the future.
What they wanted out of the talks.
Can you come again with a question? I didn't get that.
Both sides, did they get what they wanted out of the talks?
Well, actually, they did not. I think it's more like a talk shop, for both leaders. As I said before, there were no major deliverables that came out of the meeting. It was more like, okay, now let's start or restart a relationship between both countries.
All right, Rotimi, have the talks actually reduced or increased the chances of a conflict?
Well, I think it has reduced to a significant level. Don't forget that the relationship between President Xi and President Biden dates back to when both of them were vice presidents. And they've had several meetings in that capacity. But right now that they are president, this is a different terrain. President Biden threw jabs at China during his inauguration in January that they would see how they can work with China. But on the other hand, the United States will consider its interests first before China's. And, there've also been some sort of, controversy from the past administration, the Trump administration, which obviously, laid some sort of, taxes on Chinese goods coming into the United States, claiming that China has been very unfair in trade. And, of course, the United States will retaliate. And I think the Biden administration has also continued in that light. So this is more like a restart of, a better things to come for both countries.
Well, we will definitely keep an eye on this situation between the U.S., China, and Taiwan and Taipei. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon, Rotimi.